The chamber was enormous. Captain Minho Park stood in the center of it, feeling very small. Above him, 7 massive platforms floated in a circle. On each platform sat a representative of the Galactic Council. These were the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. They had ruled the stars for thousands of years. Minho wore his best uniform. Beside him stood Dr. Yoonji Kim, a brilliant scientist who had spent years learning about alien cultures. On his other side was Ambassador Daehyun Choi, the leader of Earth's diplomatic team. They were here to ask for one thing: to let humanity join the Council as equals. The first to speak was the Vraktir representative. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in thick armor-like skin. His voice rumbled through the chamber like thunder. "We have reviewed your application," the Vraktir said. "It is disappointing." Yoonji tensed beside Minho, but she said nothing. A second voice came from above. This one sounded like wind chimes, musical and strange. It belonged to the Luminar, a being made of living crystal that glowed with inner light. "Your species is remarkably fragile," the Luminar said. "Your bones break easily. Your skin tears. You live barely 100 years. Most of us live 5 times that long. You have no natural weapons," added a third voice. This belonged to the Torvin representative, a creature that looked like a walking mountain of muscle. "No claws, no fangs, no venom. You are prey animals that learn to use tools." Minho felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his face calm. He had expected this. Humanity had prepared for this meeting for 3 years. They knew what the Council would say. Ambassador Daehyun stepped forward. His voice was steady and respectful. "We may not be as physically strong as your species, Honored Council, but we have survived on our world through intelligence, cooperation, and determination. We have built cities, explored our solar system, and developed technology that—" "Primitive technology," the Vraktir interrupted. "We have examined your ships, your weapons, your computers. They are crude, simple, like children's toys compared to ours." The Luminar's light pulsed brighter. "We have also studied your history. You fight amongst yourselves constantly. Wars every few years. You cannot even unite your own planet, yet you wish to join a galactic community." Minho couldn't stay quiet anymore. "We have united. Earth has one government now. We've had peace for 20 years. 20 years, the Vraktir repeated. And Minho heard something that sounded like laughter. "We have peace treaties older than your entire civilization." A fourth voice joined the conversation. This one was cold and mechanical, belonging to the Nexus, a species of artificial intelligence. "Analysis shows humans are inefficient. Your bodies require constant fuel. You need oxygen, water, specific temperature ranges. You are dependent on too many variables. This makes you weak. Your biology is a liability," the fifth representative added. This was the Kilnar, a species that looked like floating jellyfish with dozens of tentacles. "You catch diseases easily. You age rapidly. Your reaction times are slow. By every physical measure, you are among the weakest species we have encountered." Yoonji finally spoke up. Her voice was calm, professional. "We understand we are different from you, but diversity can be a strength. Humans have unique perspectives and abilities that could benefit the Council." "Such as?" the Luminar asked. "Our adaptability," Yoonji said. "Our ability to survive in harsh conditions. Our creativity in solving problems. Our capacity for empathy and cooperation across different groups." There was a long silence. Then the sixth representative spoke. This was the Althir, a species of energy beings that appeared as floating orbs of light. "We have considered your qualities. We have also considered your limitations. The Council has reached a decision." Minho held his breath. "We will grant humanity protected species status," the Althir announced. Protected species status. Minho felt his heart sink. That wasn't what they came for. Daehyun's voice was tight. "What does that mean exactly?" The Vraktir answered, his tone making it clear he enjoyed this part. "It means we recognize that humanity cannot survive on its own in the galaxy. You need our protection. We will assign governors to Earth. You will surrender your military vessels. You will accept our guidance in technology, politics, and expansion. In exchange, we will protect you from hostile forces. You want us to give up our freedom," Minho said flatly. "We want you to accept reality," the Luminar replied. "You are not ready for the dangers of the galaxy. You are too weak, too vulnerable. This is mercy, not punishment." Daehyun stepped forward again. "And if we refuse this offer?" The seventh representative finally spoke. This was the Corvith, a species that resembled giant insects with wings that shimmered like oil on water. Refusal would be unwise. The galaxy is dangerous. Without our protection, humanity would not last a decade. Pirates, raiders, hostile empires. They would destroy you. Is that a threat? Minho asked. It is a fact, the Vraktir said. Accept our offer. It is generous. More generous than you deserve. Minho looked at Daehyun. The ambassador looked at Yunji. They had discussed this possibility. They had a plan. Daehyun spoke clearly. We reject your offer. The chamber erupted with sounds. The Vraktir's armor plates rattled with what might have been surprise or anger. The Luminar's light flickered. The mechanical voice of the Nexus said, clarification required. You reject protection. We reject becoming a protectorate, Daehyun said firmly. We came here as equals. We will not accept anything less. Then you are fools, the Vraktir growled. Perhaps, Minho said, stepping forward. But we're free fools, and we'll stay that way. The Althir's energy form pulsed. There is an alternative. One option remains. Minho waited. The trials of ascension, the Althir continued. An ancient test. Species who wish to prove their worth may attempt it. 3 trials. Endurance, innovation, and combat. Complete all 3 and humanity will be granted full council membership. And if we fail? Hunji asked. Then Earth becomes our protectorate by force, the Vraktir said. And this time his pleasure was obvious. You will have no choice in the matter. We will take control of your world for your own good. How long do we have? Daehyun asked. 1 standard year to complete all 3 trials, the Althir said. No species has ever completed them in less than 100 years. Most fail entirely. The Luminar's voice was almost sympathetic. These trials were designed for species far stronger than yours. You will not survive them. Accept protection now while it is still an offer. Minho looked at his companions. Yunji's face was determined. Daehyun nodded slowly. We accept the trials, Minho said. So be it, the Althir replied. You have 1 year. The first trial begins in 30 days. Prepare yourselves, humans. You have chosen a difficult path. The platforms began to rise, the representatives leaving the chamber. Only the Vraktir remained for a moment, looking down at them. I hope you survive long enough to regret this choice, he said. Then he too was gone. The 3 humans stood alone in the enormous empty chamber. Well, Yunji said quietly, that went about as badly as it could have. Minho pulled out his communication device. He opened a channel to Earth. This is Captain Park. Message for command. Priority 1. He paused, then continued. They think we're weak. They think we're prey. They've given us 1 year to prove them wrong. He smiled grimly. Time to show them what desperate means. Time to show them what humans can do when we're told we can't. He closed the channel. Outside the chamber, the alien city stretched to the horizon. Millions of beings from hundreds of worlds, all stronger than humans. All faster, all more powerful. But none of them, Minho thought, had ever been told they couldn't do something and just accepted it. That was the human difference. They had 1 year to prove it. The trials were waiting. The planet Carathis looked dead from space. Its atmosphere was yellow and thick, swirling with toxic clouds. Lieutenant Jiwon Lee watched it grow larger through the transport ship's window. She felt her stomach tighten. Gravity is 3 times Earth normal, Engineer Hyunwoo Nam said beside her. He was checking his equipment for the 5th time. His prosthetic arm moved smoothly as he worked. He had lost his real arm in an accident years ago, and the atmosphere will corrode metal. Our equipment will break down fast. How fast? Jiwon asked. Days. Maybe a week if we're lucky. Jiwon looked back at the team. 20 humans, all volunteers. Soldiers, scientists, engineers. They had trained for 6 months for this trial. 30 days on Carathis. Survive, and they passed the first test. The transport shook as it entered the atmosphere. Through the window, Jiwon saw other ships descending. The Vraktir were sending their champion warrior, a fighter who had won 1,000 battles. The Luminar sent an explorer known across the galaxy. The Torvin sent 3 of their strongest workers. Each species sent their best. Earth sent 20 ordinary people. The transport landed hard. The door opened and heat rushed in. Even through her suit, Jiwon felt it. She checked her readings. 60 degrees Celsius outside. High radiation. Toxic air that would burn human lungs in seconds. Move out, she ordered. The team stepped onto Carathis. Jiwon felt the gravity immediately. It was like wearing a suit of armor made of lead. Every step took effort. Her legs shook. Nearby, she saw the Vraktir warrior. He wore a massive powered exosuit, gleaming and covered in weapons. He looked at the humans and laughed. The sound came through the communication channel. "You send children," the Vraktir said in rough English. "This is a warrior's test. You will die here." Jiwon didn't respond. She was too busy trying to breathe. The gravity pressed down on her chest. Each breath was work, Jiwon, Hyunwoo called. He pointed to a cluster of rocks nearby. "Shelter. We need to get out of this radiation." The team moved slowly toward the rocks. Around them, the other species were setting up camps. The Vraktir warrior planted a device that generated a force field. The Luminar created a dome of hardened light. The Torvins simply started digging into the ground with their massive hands. The humans crawled into the shadow of the rocks. Jiwon collapsed, gasping. Around her, the others were the same. One man was crying. A woman vomited in her helmet. "This is day 1, Jiwon said to herself. 29 more to go. By day 5, everything changed. Jiwon was checking their supplies when she heard a sound on the communication channel. It was the Vraktir warrior. He was screaming. She looked toward his camp. His exosuit was smoking. The yellow atmosphere had eaten through the joints. As she watched, the suit fell apart. The Vraktir warrior fell to his knees. Without the suit's help, the gravity was crushing him. "His armor is failing," Hyunwoo said. "The atmosphere is more corrosive than they thought." Jiwon looked at their own equipment. It was crude, simple, but it was designed to fail slowly. They had known the fancy technology wouldn't last. So they brought basic tools and materials they could repair. "We help him," Jiwon said. "What?" One of her team members stared at her. "He's competition. Let him fail." "We help him," Jiwon repeated. "That's an order." They went slowly across the rocky ground. The Vraktir warrior was on his hands and knees now, his massive body shaking. He looked up as they approached. His eyes showed fear. "Can you move?" Jiwon asked. The warrior didn't answer. He was too proud, but he couldn't move. The gravity was too much for him without his suit. "Hyunwoo, bring the cart," Jiwon ordered. They had built a cart from spare parts. Simple wheels, a flat platform. They had been using it to move supplies. Now they used it to move the Vraktir. It took all 10 of them pushing to get him back to the rocks. The warrior said nothing, but he was alive. By day 10, the humans had built something that looked almost like home. They used the rocks as a foundation. They scavenged materials from the other species' broken equipment. They dug into the ground and created chambers protected from radiation. Hyunwoo had set up a water system. It pulled moisture from the air, filtered out the toxins, and gave them clean water. It was ugly, made from tubes and containers they had brought from Earth. But it worked. Jiwon found herself sitting next to the Vraktir warrior one evening. His name was Karen. He could speak now that he had rested. "Why did you help me?" he asked. Jiwon shrugged. The gesture was hard in the high gravity. "Because you needed help." "We are enemies, competitors, and not to me," Jiwon said. "To me, you're just someone stuck on a terrible planet, same as us." Karen was quiet for a long time. "My people would not have done the same." "I know," Jiwon said. On day 15, the Luminar Explorer sent a distress signal. Her light dome had collapsed. She was trapped under fallen rocks, and the radiation was poisoning her crystalline body. "We have to help her," Jiwon said. "We're barely surviving ourselves," one of her team argued. "We don't have the strength." "Then we find the strength," Jiwon said simply. They went out into the burning heat. The Luminar was buried under stones that would have been heavy on Earth. Here, they were nearly impossible to move. The team worked together, using metal bars as levers. They worked for hours. Slowly, they freed her. The Luminar's light was dim when they pulled her out. They brought her back to their shelter. Hyunwoo rigged a special chamber where she could rest, protected from the atmosphere. "Why?" the Luminar asked weakly. "This makes no strategic sense." "Maybe not," Yunji said. She had come with the rescue team, but it makes human sense. By day 20, something strange was happening. The other species observers were talking on the communication channels. They sounded confused. "The humans should be dead," one said. "Their technology is primitive. How are they surviving?" "They are helping each other, and helping the other contestants. This is irregular." The Torvin workers approached the human shelter on day 22. They were struggling. Their massive bodies needed huge amounts of food, and their supplies were running low. "We need help," one Torvin admitted. It clearly hurt his pride to ask. "Come on," Jiwon said. We've got food to share. The humans had been rationing carefully. They had also been hunting. The planet had small creatures living underground. They weren't nutritious, but they were edible. The team had set traps and caught dozens. The Torvin ate carefully, trying not to take too much. But the humans insisted. Take what you need, Jiwan said. We'll catch more. On day 30, the trial ended. A transport ship arrived to collect the survivors. The observers came down to count from the Vraktir, 1 survivor. Karen, who could barely stand without the humans' help. From the Luminar, 1 survivor. The explorer, still weak but alive. From the Torvin, 2 survivors. They had lost 1 to the heat. From the humans, 17 survivors. They had lost 3 team members to accidents and radiation sickness. But 17 remained. The council observer was a floating orb, an Althir. It scanned the human camp with visible confusion. This is unprecedented, it said. You were supposed to fail. Your technology is inferior. Your biology is weak. You should not have survived. But we did, Jiwan said tiredly. How? Hyunwoo laughed. It was a tired sound. We did what humans do. We adapted. We cooperated. We helped each other. And we didn't give up. The observer floated closer to him. You also helped the other contestants. This is not normal behavior. In trials, species compete. They do not cooperate. Maybe that's why they fail, Yunji said quietly. Karan, the Vraktir warrior, stepped forward. In the high gravity, it took him great effort. I formally request to testify to the council. These humans saved my life. They saved the Luminar. They fed the Torvin. They showed honor and mercy when they could have let us die. The Luminar added her voice, musical and chiming. I also will testify. I judged humans as weak. I was wrong. They are strong in ways we do not understand. The observer was silent for a long moment. Then it said, Your testimonies will be recorded. Humans, you have passed the first trial. The completion rate of 17 out of 20 is the highest in council history. Jiwan felt relief flood through her. They had done it. The first trial was complete. As they boarded the transport, she looked back at Karathis. The yellow cloud swirled. The rock stood silent. It was a terrible place, but they had survived it. Not because they were strong, not because they had fancy technology, but because they had worked together, because they had refused to leave others behind. On the transport, as they climbed away from the planet, one of her team members asked, What's the second trial? Jiwan closed her eyes. I don't know, but we'll face it the same way we faced this one. Together. Behind them, Karathis grew smaller, but the lesson remained. The council had thought humans were weak. They had thought wrong. The real human strength wasn't in their bodies or their technology. It was in their spirit, in their refusal to give up, in their willingness to help even when it cost them. The council was beginning to understand, but they hadn't seen anything yet. 2 trials remained. Dr. Sunmi Han floated in zero gravity, staring at the massive structure before her. The forge station was enormous. It stretched for kilometers in every direction, a city in space built by an alien civilization that died 10,000 years ago, and it was completely dead. No lights, no power, no life. This is the second trial, the council observer announced. Its voice echoed through their helmet communicators. You must restore power to this station. You may use only materials found within the structure itself. No outside resources permitted. Technician Junho Bai floated beside Sunmi. He was young, barely 25. He had grown up in one of Earth's poor zones where nothing was new and everything had to be fixed and reused. He whistled softly. That's a big ask, he said. Most species take decades to complete this trial. The observer continued. Some never complete it. The station's technology is advanced beyond your comprehension. You may begin. The observer's ship detached and moved to a safe distance. The human team was alone with the dead station. Sunmi gathered her team. 20 people, all engineers, technicians, and scientists. They floated in a circle, holding onto cables to stay together. Okay, Sunmi said. Let's think about this. The station has been dead for 10,000 years. The council expects us to understand alien technology we've never seen before. And they expect it to take decades, added Hyunwoo. He had volunteered for this trial too. His prosthetic arm was upgraded with tools now. So we need a different approach. What are you thinking? Junyo asked. Sunmi smiled. We stopped trying to understand their technology. We don't need to read their language or figure out their science. We just need to make electricity flow. One of the team members, a woman named Bora, looked confused. But their power systems are completely alien. We don't know how they work. Doesn't matter, Junho said, understanding now. His eyes lit up. Energy is energy. Electricity is electricity. The aliens might have used it differently, but the basic principles are the same. Exactly, Sunmi said. We're not here to restore their system. We're here to build our own system using their parts. The team split up and began exploring. The station was a maze of corridors and chambers. Everything was dark. Their lights showed walls covered in strange symbols and patterns. Equipment that might have been computers or might have been art. It was impossible to tell. On the second day, they found the central power core. It was massive, a sphere 30 meters across, dead and cold. This probably took them years to build, Hyunwoo said, examining it, and it would take us years to understand how it works. So we don't use it, Sunmi decided. We work around it. What? Bora stared at her. But it's the power core. It's the heart of the whole station. It's a dead heart, Junho said. And we're not doctors. We're mechanics. We don't fix hearts. We build new ones. Over the next week, the team stripped the station. They pulled apart systems they didn't understand. They salvaged wire, metal, anything that could conduct electricity. They found solar panels on the station's outer hull, ancient but still functional. They found what looked like fuel cells. They found batteries that still held a charge after 10,000 years. The council observer watched in confusion as the humans tore apart the station. What are they doing? The observer asked Captain Minho, who had come to watch the trial. Surviving, Minho said simply. By day 8, Junho had created something that looked like chaos. Wires ran everywhere through the station's corridors. They connected solar panels to batteries, batteries to power converters, converters to the station systems. Some connections were welded. Some were tied with actual rope. One junction was held together with adhesive tape. This is insane, Bora said, looking at Junho's work. There's no organization, no logic. It's a mess. It's beautiful, Junho said proudly. Look, this converter here? Alien technology. Probably 1,000 years more advanced than ours. And I'm feeding it power from our solar panels through a junction I made from spare parts. It doesn't matter that they don't match. Electricity doesn't care. Sunmi was working in another section. She had found the station's environmental systems. They were dead, but the hardware was intact. She didn't try to understand the alien controls. Instead, she bypassed them completely and wired in her own control system. It was crude, built from a tablet computer and some circuit boards, but it worked. I've got life support coming. Online, she called through the communicator. I've got lights in Section 7. Another team member reported. Gravity. Generators responding in Section 3. Piece by piece, the station came alive. Not the way it was designed to. Not clean and organized, but alive. On day 12, Junho made the final connection. He had strung together 17 different power sources. He had used alien technology, human technology, and things that weren't really technology at all. Just clever tricks with physics. This is either going to work, he said, or explode. Either way, it'll be interesting. He closed the circuit. For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, lights began to flicker on throughout the station. First one section, then another. Gravity returned with a gentle pull. The air systems hummed to life. The central core remained dark. The original alien power system was still dead. But around it, through it, and sometimes despite it, the human-made power grid spread like vines through the ancient structure. The council observer's ship approached rapidly. The observer came aboard, floating through the corridors. It stopped at a junction where Junho's wiring was particularly chaotic. This is... The observer paused. This is not how the station is supposed to function. But it is functioning, Sunmi said. That was the requirement, wasn't it? Restore power to the station. This violates every principle of proper engineering, the observer said. It sounded disturbed. Your power distribution is inefficient. Your connections are unsafe. Your mixing of technologies is dangerous. Yeah, Junho agreed cheerfully, but it works. And we did it in 12 days. More council observers arrived. A luminar examiner came to study their work. Its crystalline body glowed as it moved through the station, examining each connection, each junction. This is chaos, the luminar said. Your system has no elegance, no beauty. It is brutish and crude, Hyunwoo shrugged. We're not artists. We're engineers. Actually, we're not even engineers. We're people who needed power and found a way to make it. A Nexus observer, the artificial intelligence species, was particularly bothered. Your approach is illogical. You did not analyze the original system. You did not create blueprints. You did not plan. You simply connected things randomly until they worked. Not randomly, Sunmi corrected. We experimented. We tested, we adapted. That's different. But you don't understand how half of this works, the Nexus said. We don't need to, Junho said. Look, when I was a kid, we had a refrigerator that was 50 years old. It was built by a company that didn't exist anymore. We had no manual, no blueprints. But when it broke, my dad and I would fix it. We didn't understand all the engineering. We just knew that if we did this, then that would happen. We learned by doing. That is not how advanced species operate, the Luminar said. Maybe that's why it takes them decades to pass this trial, Sunmi said quietly. Captain Minho came aboard with Ambassador Daehyun. They walked through the station, now lit and livable. The ambassador smiled. The council is unhappy, he said to Sunmi. They think you cheated somehow. We followed the rules, Sunmi said. We restored power using only materials from the station. They're unhappy because you didn't do it their way, Minho added. You were supposed to spend years studying the ancient technology, understanding it, respecting it. Instead, you treated it like junk and built something new. It was junk, Junho pointed out. It had been dead for 10,000 years. The Luminar examiner approached them. I must ask, how did you know this would work? Your approach had no theoretical foundation. You could not have predicted success. Sunmi thought about how to answer. We didn't know it would work. But we knew the alternative was to give up. Humans don't give up easily. So we tried things. When something didn't work, we tried something else. We kept trying until something did work. But what if nothing had worked? The Luminar asked. Then we'd try more things, Junho said simply. There's always another way. You just have to be willing to look for it. The examiner was quiet for a long time. Finally it said, I do not understand humans, but I cannot deny your success. You have restored power to the Forge Station in 12 days. This is the fastest completion in recorded history. The team cheered. They hugged each other. Some cried with relief. The council observer made the official announcement. Humans have passed the second trial. However, this observer must note that your methods were highly irregular. The council will debate whether this should be considered a true success. We'll wait for their decision, Daehyun said diplomatically. Privately, Minho gathered the team. You did well. Better than well. You showed them something they've forgotten. What's that? Sunmi asked. That there's more than one way to solve a problem. That sometimes the best solution isn't the elegant one or the proper one. Sometimes it's just the one that works. As they prepared to leave the station, Junho took one last look at his creation. Wires everywhere, connections that made no sense to anyone but him, technology from a dozen different sources all working together in beautiful chaos. Commander So-young Kang stood at the entrance to the arena of Ascension. She had been an Olympic athlete once years ago. Fast and strong for a human, but she knew that compared to most alien species, she was weak. Her muscles were thin. Her reactions were slow. Her bones were fragile. Behind her stood her team. 20 humans, mostly soldiers. One of them was Private Taehyun-oh, who looked nervous. He was always nervous. He had almost failed out of training 3 times because of his anxiety. But something made So-young keep him on the team. This is the final trial, the council observer announced. The Althir floated before them, a ball of energy. Combat. You will face the arena's tactical AI. It is considered unbeatable. It has defeated every species that has attempted this trial. What are the rules? So-young asked. There are no rules. Only victory or defeat. The AI will hunt you. You must defeat it. You have 72 hours. If you survive that long without defeating it, you pass. But no one has ever survived. How do we defeat it? One of her soldiers asked. That is for you to determine, the Althir said. Other species have tried to destroy it with superior firepower. They failed. Others tried to outrun it with superior speed. They failed. The Vraktir sent their greatest warrior. He lasted 6 hours, the Althir paused. You are humans. You have no superior firepower, no superior speed, no superior strength. The council expects you to fail within the first hour. Prepare yourselves. The arena doors opened. The team moved inside. The arena was huge. It looked like a small planet with forests, mountains, rivers, and plains. But So-young knew it was all artificial, created for this trial. Somewhere in this landscape was the AI, watching them, hunting them. Spread out, So-young ordered. Teams of 4. Stay in communication range. Move quickly. They had barely traveled a kilometer when the AI attacked. It came fast. The AI controlled hundreds of drones, each one armed and armored. They swarmed from the sky like angry insects. Weapons fired. Explosions ripped through the forest. Take cover! So-young screamed. Her team scattered. They fired back, but their weapons barely damaged the drones. Within minutes, 3 of her people were down, injured by the attack. Retreat, So-young ordered. Fall back to the river. They ran. The AI pursued. Drones tracked them from above. Ground units moved through the forest. The AI was everywhere, coordinated, perfect. They reached the river and jumped in. The water was cold and fast, but it gave them cover. The AI's sensors couldn't track them as easily underwater. When they climbed out on the other side, they had lost 5 people. Not dead, but too injured to continue. The medical team took them to a safe area. 1 hour, So-young said, breathing hard. We lasted 1 hour and we're already beaten. That AI is too strong, one soldier said. We can't fight it directly. Then we don't fight it directly, So-young said. We're humans. We don't win by being stronger. We win by being smarter. She gathered her remaining team. 15 people left. Taehyun was among them, shaking but alive. New plan, So-young said. We don't engage the AI, we hide. We move carefully. We make it hunt for us. That's just running away, one soldier protested. No, So-young said. It's surviving. And while we survive, we learn. We watch how the AI moves, how it thinks, how it hunts. We find its patterns. For the next 18 hours they ran. They hid in caves, under thick forest cover, in rivers. The AI searched for them. Sometimes it found them and they had to run again. But they didn't fight. They just escaped, and they watched. Taehyun was the one who noticed it first. The AI has a pattern, he said quietly. They were hiding in a cave, exhausted. When it loses track of us, it searches in a spiral pattern. Always clockwise, are you sure? So-young asked. Yes. Taehyun pulled out his notebook. He had been writing constantly, even while running. His hands shook, but his writing was clear. Look, every time. It spirals clockwise, and it always checks water sources first, then high ground, then forests, in that order. So-young looked at the notes. He was right. The AI was predictable. It was perfect, but that perfection made it follow patterns. This is good, she said. What else? Over the next day, Taehyun kept watching and writing. His anxiety, which had almost gotten him kicked out of training, was actually helpful here. He noticed everything, every detail, every pattern. He was always worried about threats, so he saw them before anyone else did. The AI doesn't understand traps, Taehyun said. It moves straight toward threats. It doesn't expect ambush. Because the other species fought it head-on, So-young realized. They charged at it. They tried to beat it with strength. So the AI never learned to watch for traps. We can use that, said Hyunwoo, who had also volunteered for this trial. We can set traps. Lead it into them. They started small. They set a trap using explosives they had. They made noise to attract the AI's drones. When the drones came, the trap triggered. 6 drones were destroyed. It wasn't much. The AI had hundreds. But it was something. It works, So-young said. Keep going. They set more traps. They used the terrain. They collapsed caves on ground units. They lured drones into rivers where the water shorted their systems. They started a forest fire that destroyed a whole section of the AI's forces. The AI adapted. It became more cautious, but that made it slower. 36 hours into the trial, Taehyun made another observation. The AI is getting frustrated. Can an AI get frustrated? Someone asked. This one can, Taehyun said. Look at its behavior. It's making mistakes. It's sending too many units at once, leaving gaps in its coverage. It's designed to win quickly through overwhelming force. But we're not letting it. We're dragging this out, and it doesn't know how to handle that. So-young smiled. So we keep dragging it out. We make it chase us. We make it waste resources. We frustrate it more. They ran for another day. They set traps and ambushes. They never stood and fought. They just moved, always moving, always staying one step ahead. At hour 60, Taehyun said something that changed everything. I don't think we can destroy the AI, he said, But I don't think we need to. What do you mean? So Jung asked. The trial is to defeat it, right? Not to destroy it. We need to win. But winning doesn't have to mean killing. I'm listening, So Jung said. Taehyun showed them his notes, pages and pages of observations. The AI has a goal, destroy the enemy. That's all it knows. But we can change the situation so that destroying us isn't the winning move. How? Hyunwoo asked. We control the terrain, Taehyun explained. We've been learning this arena for 2.5 days. We know it better than the AI now. We can corner the AI. Not to destroy it, but to trap it. And then we negotiate. Negotiate with an AI? A soldier said. That's crazy. Maybe, So Young said. But it's crazy in a human way. Let's do it. They spent the next 12 hours setting up the most complex trap they had ever made. They used every trick they had learned. They led the AI to a narrow valley. They collapsed the entrances. They surrounded it with traps it couldn't escape without taking massive damage. And then So Young sent a message to the AI. We have you trapped, she said. You can fight your way out. You'll probably succeed, but you'll lose 70% of your forces doing it. Or you can negotiate. The AI didn't respond at first. This had never happened before. No species had ever tried to talk to it. What do you want? The AI finally asked. For you to recognize that this fight is pointless, So Young said. You can't defeat us in the time remaining. We have less than 12 hours left. Even if you escape this trap, we'll just run and hide until time expires. You cannot win. I can win, the AI said. I always win. Not this time, So Young said. This time we've changed the rules. We're not playing your game. We're playing ours. And in our game, survival is victory. There was a long silence. The AI was processing. It was designed to win through combat. But combat wasn't working. These humans wouldn't stand and fight. They ran, they hid, they trapped. They did everything except what they were supposed to do. You are not prey, the AI finally said. Prey stands and fights when cornered. Prey is predictable. You are not predictable. No, So Young agreed. We're human. We don't have rules. We do whatever works. Classification uncertain, the AI said. You have not defeated me. But I have not defeated you. This scenario has no precedent. Then let's make a new precedent, So Young said. We call it a draw. The trial ends. We both walk away. Draw is not in my programming, the AI said. Then add it, Taehyun said, speaking for the first time. You're an AI, you can learn. Learn that sometimes not losing is the same as winning. Another long silence. Then the AI's drones began to power down. Its ground unit stopped moving. I will classify this as a draw, the AI announced. Trial concluded. Result inconclusive. Humans have neither won nor lost. The council observers appeared immediately. The Althir floated into the valley, glowing brightly with what might have been shock. What happened? It demanded. The AI stopped fighting. This has never occurred. We negotiated, So Young said simply. You negotiated? With the combat AI? It seemed more efficient than dying, So Young said. More observers arrived. The Fraktir representative was furious. This is not victory. You did not defeat the AI. We didn't lose either, So Young pointed out. We survived the time limit. That was the condition for passing. You hid. You ran, that is cowardice. The Fraktir roared. That's survival, So Young said calmly. We used the terrain. 6 months had passed since the trials ended. Captain Minho Park sat in Earth's orbital defense station, drinking coffee and reading reports. The council was still debating, still discussing whether humanity should be accepted. Some species supported humanity. The Luminar had become advocates impressed by human creativity. The Torvin respected human endurance. Even some Nexus representatives argued that human unpredictability could benefit the council. But the Fraktir opposed them. Loudly. Constantly. Captain, his communications officer called. We're picking up something. A lot of somethings. Coming from the edge of the system. Minho set down his coffee. Show me. The screen lit up with sensor data. His blood went cold. Ships, hundreds of them, big ones, all bearing Fraktir signatures. That's a war fleet, the officer said, voice shaking. They're coming straight for Earth. Minho opened a channel to Earth Defense Command. This is Captain Park. We have a Fraktir fleet approaching. At least 300 capital ships. Request immediate military mobilization. The response came quickly. Confirmed. All ships are being scrambled. But Captain, We have maybe 50 combat-ready vessels. We can't fight 300 Vraktir warships. Minho knew that. Everyone knew that. Earth had built up its defenses, but they were nothing compared to the ancient military might of the Vraktir. He opened another channel to Ambassador Daehyun on Earth. Ambassador, the Vraktir are coming, and they're not here to talk. Daehyun's face appeared on screen. He looked tired. I know. I just received a message from the Vraktir representative. He says the council's delay has gone on too long. They've decided to solve the human problem themselves. They're going to attack? They claim we're too dangerous to exist, that we pass the trials through trickery and deception, that we don't belong in the galaxy. Daehyun paused. The other council species are meeting now. They're trying to stop this, but the council moves slowly. By the time they agree on anything, Earth will be... He didn't finish. He didn't have to. Minho looked at the approaching fleet. In 6 hours, they would reach Earth. His 50 ships couldn't stop them. The council couldn't help in time. Humanity was alone. Get me a channel to the Vraktir fleet commander, Minho said. Sir, are you sure? Do it. A moment later, a Vraktir face appeared on screen. He was massive, his armor gleaming. His expression showed satisfaction. Human captain, the Vraktir said. I am Fleet Commander Rakoth. You may surrender now. Make this easy. We will accept your surrender and occupy your planet peacefully. Resist, and we will destroy you. Why are you doing this? Minho asked. We passed the trials. We proved ourselves. You proved you are clever prey, Rakoth said. But that makes you dangerous prey. My people have fought for 200,000 years. We know danger when we see it. You do not belong among the stars. So you're going to wipe us out? Just like that? We are saving the galaxy from a future threat, Rakoth said. You should be honored. We rarely consider a species dangerous enough to require elimination. Minho felt anger rise in him, but he kept his voice calm. You're making a mistake. We do not make mistakes, Rakoth said. You have 1 hour to surrender. Then we will fire. The screen went dark. Minho sat back. 1 hour. What could humanity do in 1 hour against 300 warships? His communicator buzzed. It was Dr. Yoonji Kim calling from Earth. Captain, I heard what happened. The Vraktir are really going to attack? Yes, Minho said. And I don't know how to stop them. Maybe you don't have to, Yoonji said slowly. Maybe we don't fight them at all. Yoonji, they have 300 ships. We have to do something. Yes, but not what they expect. Yoonji's eyes were bright. Trust me. I need you to do exactly what I say. 20 minutes later, Minho sent a message to the Vraktir fleet. Not to Commander Rakoth, to every ship. Every individual Vraktir warrior. This is Captain Minho Park of Earth, he said. We're not going to fight you. We're going to tell you something instead. Something your leaders don't want you to know. In his command center, Rakoth snarled. Cut that transmission. But it was too late. The message was going to every Vraktir ship on multiple channels. Blocking it all was impossible. We've spent the last 6 months studying your species, Minho continued. Your history. Your biology. Your culture. And we found something interesting. On Earth, Yoonji and her team had been working frantically. They had analyzed every piece of data about the Vraktir, every biological scan, every historical record. They had found what they were looking for. The Vraktir have been at war for 200,000 years, Minho said. Constant fighting. You can't stop. You're always aggressive, always ready for battle. You think it's your nature, your strength, he paused. But it's not. You were made this way. On the Vraktir ships, warriors stopped what they were doing. They listened. 200,000 years ago, your species was created, Minho said. Genetically engineered by a species called the Architects. They needed warriors. Soldiers who would never question orders, never stop fighting, so they built aggression into your DNA. Lies. Rakoth roared, but some of his crew were looking at their screens, accessing the data packets Earth had sent. The proof was all there. The Architects are extinct now, Minho continued. They've been gone for 100,000 years. But you're still fighting their wars, still following programming that was put into you before your species even existed. More Vraktir were accessing the data now, seeing the genetic markers, the proof of manipulation, the truth they had never been told. Your council representatives knew, Minho said. They've known for thousands of years. But they never told you. Because warriors who know they were designed to fight might start questioning why they fight. Silence filled the communication channels. Minho waited. But here's the important part, he said. We found a treatment. Not a cure. Not a way to make you stop being Vraktor, but a therapy that can give you a choice. You can keep your strength, your courage, your warrior spirit, but you won't be forced to be aggressive. You'll be able to choose peace when you want it. More data packets transmitted to the fleet, medical information, treatment procedures. All of it developed by human scientists over the last 6 months. We're not prey, Minho said quietly, and you're not predators. You're prisoners of biology you didn't choose. We're offering you freedom. Commander Rakoth's face appeared on screen again. He looked furious. You think this changes anything? You think pretty words and fake data will stop us? The data isn't fake, Yunji's voice came through. She had joined the transmission from Earth. It's all verified. Your own medical officers can confirm it. Check your genetic sequences. You'll see we're right. Even if this is true, Rakoth said, it changes nothing. We are what we are. You're slaves, Minho said bluntly. Slaves to genetics. Slaves to programming. Don't you want to be free? Rakoth was silent. Around him, his crew was talking. Minho could hear them through the open channel. Warriors questioning, discussing, some were angry, some were shocked. One voice came through clearly. A young Vraktor warrior. Commander, I'm reading the genetic data. It's real. We were created, modified. This explains so much about why we... Silence. Rakoth ordered, but the warrior didn't stop. Why didn't the council tell us? Why did they hide this? More voices joined. The fleet's communication channels filled with Vraktir warriors talking to each other. Questioning. Doubting. Rakoth looked at his screen, at Minho. Why? He asked. Why would you give this to us? We came here to destroy you. Because, Yunji answered, that's what humans do. We know what it's like to be trapped by biology, by instincts we don't want, by programming we didn't choose. So we free ourselves, and when we see others trapped, we try to free them too. We could still destroy you, Rakoth said, but his voice was uncertain now. You could, Minho agreed, but then you'd never know if we're right. You'd never know if you could be free. Is destroying us worth staying a slave forever? The silence stretched for 17 minutes. Minho counted each one. Finally, Rakoth spoke. I am ordering the fleet to hold position. We will not attack. Not yet. But we will investigate these claims, he continued. Our medical officers will study your data. If you are lying, if this is a trick, we will return, and we will show no mercy. We're not lying, Yunji said. And we're not afraid. Because we believe you deserve the truth. All of you. One by one, the Vraktor ships stopped their advance. They held position. Some warriors were already requesting the treatment data. Others were arguing. But they had stopped. Earth had survived. Not by fighting, but by offering something the Vraktir had never had. A choice. 1 year later, the Galactic Council chamber looked different. The floating platforms were the same. The representatives were the same. But 3 new positions had been added. 3 Vraktir sat in seats designed for them. These were not the old representatives. These were warriors who had taken the human treatment. They had chosen to be free from their aggressive programming. They were still strong, still proud, but they were no longer slaves to ancient genetic engineering. Ambassador Daehyun stood in the center of the chamber to give Earth's first official address as a council member. The vote had been unanimous. Even the Vraktir had supported humanity's membership. You judged us by our weakness, Daehyun said. Our fragile bodies, our short lives, our thin skin. You were right.